Hello guys and welcome back to our How to Teach Go series. In this lesson we're going to be talking about invasions and of course making a base to make that invasion survive. So now we're on a 13 by 13 board. Now we're getting to a board that's big enough to where invasions may or may not work. We're also getting to the point where if you don't invade against certain players, it may become impossible to win. And your beginners may even start realizing that your territory is just getting too big. They can't deal with it, and now you need to give them a way to deal with large areas. In this one, I encourage the teacher to make a big framework, a large framework, as fast as possible. Make it a little bit loose, that way they can invade, right? And then, of course, invade your opponent if need be at certain areas, maybe some simple invasions that they can deal with. So we're going to start learning invasions, and of course, the first invasion we will learn is the 3-3. This will be the very first invasion the beginner will usually learn is how to invade the 3-3. So we'll play open corners, you'll be playing different things, and they'll be playing their own position. And then you can simply keep playing like normal, but once we get to a point like this, well, now you need to start encouraging something, right? Now you need to probably invade. So I may invade even one step sooner than this, just so they know it, right? Because your object isn't to actually play simple, it's to teach. So in this case, I may even just do it right now. And this will encourage them to block. And then maybe they'll try and block their territory because you're in. This would be common, and then you go here, and then sometimes they'll go here, or maybe they'll Hane here. You never know, and then they go here and you escape. And this is their first encounter with invasions, which is good. They play those moves, that means they've understood the concepts so far. So if they're playing this shape, that's really, really good. If they're playing this shape even, it's not as good, but it's still pretty good. It means they understood that they block their territory and to try to surround you if possible, right? And then if they did this, that means, oh, I have a cut, I need to fix that cut. So of course, these are all good moves for this level. This is not discouraging, even though it's not Joseki. It may look bad because it's not Joseki to you guys, but that's not the point. If you didn't know the Joseki, I don't think you would be playing perfectly either. So these are really good moves for beginners. But after this, you need to teach them how to play the Joseki, and then and maybe answer the questions they have. So once you're here and when you're reviewing or when you show them the move in general, you'll say this is a Joseki, and a Joseki is a common variation in the corner. These are variations that basically come up so often that they're called Joseki now. And these are variations that have been studied and played by professional players, and they all have pros and cons about them. Do not say memorize Joseki. Please do not say memorize Joseki. This is a very, very bad habit to start doing. If you don't know Joseki, you should look it up. I'm not saying don't look it up. I'm saying don't memorize it. You should study it. You should learn what's good about it, what's bad about it. When should it be used? When should it not be used? Because Josekis, like anything else, are just shapes to be used in certain positions. They are Joseki because they're common, but they are not the only moves to play. There are many Joseki and many choices and many options for moves. So you do not say memorize. You'll want to avoid that word as much as possible. All right, once you show them this, you'll say, okay, so I'm going to go here, and then you have the cut, and you said, oh, you defended the cut, or maybe they didn't, who knows, and then you'll have a cut, so you have to extend, because if you go here, yes, this is another Joseki, guys, but don't introduce this right now, because it's way too complicated. Just say, if you go here, you can see that this stone got cut off, so you don't want to do that, right? And you'll try to brush over that quickly. You don't want to get into the super complicated variations. But then you go here, and then you'll go one more because you want to make sure white stays surrounded in the corner. If they try to go somewhere else, you say, oh, well, then white escapes and gets all these points. And you don't want white to do that. You want to keep your opponent surrounded. You want to keep the invasion surrounded or blocked in there. And so you'll do this, and then I'll try to live. I'll live, and you have a cutting point, and they'll be like, oh, well, do I fix the cutting point here? No. Yes. So actually, you can say yes, you can fix the cutting point like that, but this is slightly better due to the end game. Now you don't have a cutting point here because you can capture, yay. And you'll basically just brush over this stuff, right? You'll do it in the point where they understand, but they're not going to remember it. I highly doubt they will remember it after you say it once. You'll likely have to invade 2, 3, maybe even 4 times before they'll be able to play the variation perfectly. So don't worry about explaining it in depth. Don't worry about having them memorize it, because they're not going to learn it in depth or understand it 100% until they play it multiple times. So it's more important to just have them understand the overall idea and then just have them practice it. So that'll be a thing. If you play it and then once you play it and you get Sente, don't fix your corner. I want to say go fix the Shamari, because then they're going to try it, right? Because then they'll be like, oh, well, he did it, so I'm going to do it. And actually, you want to encourage that. You want to encourage them to invade you, so that way you can show them, oh, maybe they'll learn the Joseki, maybe they remember it, who knows? But you want to encourage them to do it as well, because once they do it, that means they're already mastering the idea of making an invasion. So now you'll play this and you'll try to play the Joseki, and you'll see if they remember. If they don't, you give them hints or suggestions. Basically encourage them to play the correct Joseki. And you want to leave it open so that way they can play it. Alright, so this is the first Joseki to learn. That's the 3-3, and you'll probably take a game or two to understand that. And once you get to that point, then you're going to start learning even more stuff. And you'll want to start playing approaches, because now they know how to play Joseki, so you want to encourage this. So you want to encourage that, and then after that, you'll start making a big position. So let's say I do this, I'll do this, and then I'm just going to start making a very large position, because I'm going to play very, very big, very, very large, very, very loose, and encourage them to invade and say, if you don't invade me, you're not going to have enough points. So I'll play something like this, and then they'll try to play, and then I'll keep playing, and then if they don't ever do it, then I'll pretty much try to make a position. Maybe I won't do that one. I'll try to make a position where basically they have to invade me, or I'm going to get a very large position. And likely I'll win with a very large position the first time, and then I'll just say you need to invade sooner. And I'll try to make it as large as possible. Keep pushing, maybe even invade once. Like invade, see how they respond. Just take their points and say, since I invaded you, you have to invade me, blah, blah, blah. And I'll make my position as large as possible. Yes, it will look a little discouraging, but that's the point of this, is actually encourage invasions. And you can say, I wouldn't have gotten this large had you invaded me sooner. And so the next game, once they see that, oh, this position's very large, and now they'll have the hindsight, or the foresight in this case, they'll have the hindsight of their last game and the foresight of this game to say, that position's getting large. I should probably do something about that. And then at this point, they'll probably like, okay, I need to invade. And where can I invade? They'll try this first, or and you can say, well, now I have a stone, so it's a little bit different. Don't kill them or anything. Like, let them live. It's just going to live small, and then you can go invade them. And now you're getting into invasion battles. If they're only doing that, then you may have to change your move to dual 3-4 points to encourage invasions, because you want to make your position very large and something like this to encourage them to invade. Now, they're going to get confused at this point. They're going to be like, how do I invade? And in this case, you want to remind them, third line is the line of security. And they'll be like, well, how do I survive the stone? So they'll place a stone inside, and they'll be like, okay, now what do I do? And now you say you make a base. You do not teach eyes yet. Some of you may or may not agree with this. I think eyes are way too complicated. When I first teach how to live, I say your group needs to surround space to live. If they have space, that is good enough. That is life. That is what I will teach at first. We can get into more complicated stuff after they're invading over and over and they're really comfortable with invasions. So here I will teach to surround space, and I'll say try to make space here, or try to make space here or something, surround some space. And maybe they'll come up with this move, or they'll probably come up with one of these two moves. And they'll be like, okay, now what do I do? And then they'll keep going. Maybe it looks something like this, and you push the space. And yes, maybe you can even get them into a box 4 or bulky 5. Don't worry about the vital point right now. Just if they have a box surrounded, whether it's 1 eye or 2 eyes, let them live. As long as it's not like just 2 in a row, then let them live, because you want to encourage them to invade again. If they invade and just die, then they're going to be really scared of invasions. You don't want them to be scared. You want them to invade and survive multiple times. That will build up their confidence and build up their ability to think about invasions. And once they get invading multiple times, once they invade comfortably, then that's when you normally introduce eyes. And then you can get into the really basic life and death shapes. Now, when you are in these positions, you actually want to play moves that encourage them to build space. For example, what if I played this one? Well, now he's probably going to block like this, right? You have to try to understand what beginners may or may not play, and you'll have to do that. You have to play them many times. But if you just play like this and keep playing like this, they'll eventually run into your area, and you don't want that to happen, right? Because that's a lot of points. So maybe you can encourage them to block their base like this, and you can then play this move again or something. Or maybe even Hane and say, oh, protect your cut, and now they're alive, right? Or something like that. You never know. Some beginners work differently than others. Some things work differently than others. But the idea is, of course, you want them to play this move, but there's no hint around it. And if you play something like this, maybe you can play this move. Maybe it might work. Actually, I don't know. There's no scientific approach to making them, like forcing your opponent to play the good move. It's really difficult, and it takes a lot of practice. And even after that, you still don't 100% know what they're going to play. So maybe this will encourage it, or maybe it'll encourage this, or maybe it'll encourage this, or maybe it'll encourage this. I don't know what it'll do. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. But the whole point of this is to try and play moves that get them to play the right moves. Get moves to make them surround space. Get moves to make them make eyes. And just tell them to survive, you need to surround space. And then once they get the idea of surrounding space, or in this case, making a base, then you could start worrying about if the base is big enough or not. But if they're not even surrounding space or not even making a base in general, whether it be 1 eye or 2 eyes, if they're just getting 0 eyes, then don't even worry about life and death. That's not going to be important. They have to understand how to make a base or how to surround space first. Then they can worry about if the space is big enough or not. Well, alright guys, that is it for this. So remember that 13 by 13, the first thing you normally need to work on is making very large territory and teaching invasions. And still remember to reemphasize cuts and making points and try and expand your positions and blah, blah, blah. So we've learned a lot of stuff. I'm pretty sure I've gone over Ko's. If I've not gone over Ko's yet, guys, let me just point out, if a Ko has come up, teach it at this point. If it hasn't, then just teach it when it comes up, or maybe you can even show it at this point, because normally a Ko will have come up by this point. And Ko is that shape that you don't teach, normally don't teach until it comes up, and because that's when the beginner will realize this is an infinite loop. And it's better for them to actually play that infinite loop and realize that it's an infinite loop before you teach that rule. The reason is it sticks better. They'll remember it much more effectively, and it'll make so much more sense if they come up with that first on their own. But yeah, so if a Ko hasn't come up yet, you can go ahead and teach it, probably because it's not going to come up after this point. But yeah, so go ahead and make sure they learn Kos. But otherwise, at this point, they should know basically how to make territory, how to play, how to finish the territory, watch some basic cuts, and now start learning how to invade positions. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you guys are enjoying this series, and I will see you guys in the next video.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching. If you liked this video, then please consider subscribing to my channel. Otherwise, go ahead and click on the next video. And if you want to support me creating this series and other Go series alike, then please consider supporting me on Patreon. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.